And I don't care who you are. You know, if you're playing alongside 10 other guys that you're going to war with each and every day, and 4 of them just kind of hit the canvas, one after another, you're probably going to lose a little bit of confidence. You know, you might start second guessing yourself a little bit. And I think that that's where Aaron Glenn and the rest of this defensive team that we have kind of has a short-term memory. I think that these guys will kind of compartmentalize that. Maybe not so much in the game, you know, against Caleb, Williams and the Bears last week, where we just couldn't perform for whatever reason. They couldn't stop what they were doing. But I think now that we're past it and they know what they're going into the game with, they're prepared for it. So I'm not expecting a second half collapse versus the Bears to spill over into the entire game for the Lions. Are we hurting on the defensive side of the ball? We absolutely are. But we still have at least 6 of the starters on this team. And we brought in a couple of guys that I feel are going to have an impact right away. And we'll talk about Jamal Adams and Quan Alexander here in just a few moments. So even though the second half, the Lions' rush production really fell off and it kind of helped the Bears to really get back into that game, they still showed up with a pass rush and knocking down 4 sacks to be able to get out of that game and to push the Bears back when needed. So there's no quit. There's absolutely no quit in this Detroit Lions team, and I'm not expecting any sort of quit tomorrow. Fourth point, really, what did the Bears do that the Packers can really copycat? I don't think anything. I really don't. I don't think that this is a game where you're going to take anything from what the Bears did and try to say that it's going to be a blueprint tomorrow night. Again, something that I heard this morning. People, for some reason, think that the Bears figured out the Lions. I absolutely do not believe that for 1 second. I think the Lions just had a bad second half of football. That's it. And it won't happen again. Fifth point. There are some things that the Lions do very, very well. We're talking about the offensive side of the football here for a moment. We get explosives on the ground, which then really opens up our pass game. And with that, I believe that the Lions just need to operate in an efficient range for the pass game. They don't necessarily have to go deep to beat teams. It's like we're not in that explosive range of passes over 30 yards or 40 yards often, right? We're not a team that needs to do that or relies on that. But at the same time, we shouldn't be fooled, right? The Lions definitely have the capability. They've shown that they have the capability. And matter of fact, even though it's not something that we do consistently, at one point in the season, we were at the top of explosives, over 30, over 20, and over 40 through the air. We still are very close. But it's just not something that we have to rely on. It's something that the Lions utilize when they need to, when it's open, when it's available, but it's not something that we rely on. So I think for this game, kind of going back to where I started here, I think that it's very simple. We have to maintain the leverage in the run game. The minute the run game begins to work for the Lions, which should be damn near immediately, it's just going to push us into the ability to open up the playbook a little bit more. And I think that's what you're going to see tomorrow. I don't see where the Lions are really going to have to venture, extremely far out into the playbook to have to do all of this crafty stuff. They just need to do what works. And that's what I'm hoping Ben Johnson sticks to tomorrow, is doing what works. And what I mean by that is when something is working, don't stop doing it. Continue to pound the rock if it's working. Until they can show that they can stop you, don't stop. For whatever reason, Ben Johnson has had this method of getting us down into the red zone, and then he switches it up. And I understand it's tight in the red zone. It's a tougher defense. There's shorter windows that are open in the red zone. But at any rate, just stick to what works. And Ben really needs to mix it up tomorrow to give us an opportunity. Now, with that said, I will say this. I think we are going to need a few deep passes tomorrow. I think we are going to need a couple of quick strikes and a couple of quick TDs. So I am expecting to at least see a couple of times where Jamo's going to be targeted downfield. Like I said, the other morning when I was talking with Riley, Jamo's just one touch away from a touchdown. And I'm expecting for him to rise up at this point now in his career, going into this part of the season. We need Jamo to step up. We need more of a leadership role out of Jamo. And what I mean by that is he needs to keep his nose clean, and he needs to be able to go out there and make plays. After what happened last week versus the Bears, we now need to see the Jamo that's not getting in trouble, the Jamo that's not causing problems on the sideline. Let's go play football. And we really need him to dial it in. When Jamo is explosive, the Lions can win games by 20, 30 points. And that's what we need tomorrow. And we need Ben to identify it and not be shy of pulling the trigger on getting Jamo loose early in the game. You know, that doesn't mean do an end around all the time. That doesn't mean, you know, do 3 or 4 flips in reverses and reverse that. And, you know, 5 reverses later, someone's trying to throw a pass. That doesn't mean throwing the hitch route that usually doesn't work. Let's do something different. You know, let's be a little bit more unique with it. But to be honest with you, deep crossers work just fine with Jamo, because hardly anybody can stay step for step with the guy. So even doing something that simple would help us out. I think he's going to have a decent game tomorrow. I absolutely love me some Tim Patrick right now.